Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited for our Tuesday night training tonight. We have a very, very special guest, Lynn Mead's daughter. Sarah Mead is a social media guru, and we are looking forward to hearing the tips and tricks that she has to share with us. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself before you get started, and then I'm just going to let you have the floor, and then at the end we can have people ask questions. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, sweetie.
Well, as she said, I am Sarah Lynn Mead's daughter. Hi, Mom. I have been doing marketing for about, oh goodness, I feel old now. 7, 8 years. I went to Western for communication with an emphasis in nonprofit. So my career has been focused on nonprofit marketing as well as community events. So yeah, I specialize in social media, graphic design, and web design. Working in the nonprofit sector, you kind of need to be able to do it all, including photography and even a little bit of videography. So I kind of dabble in all of the marketing trades, if you will. And so when my mom said that people needed help with social media, she knew exactly where to come. So I put together a social media 101 presentation for you all today.
Oh, do you need to share your screen?
I do.
Okay, that's good. I will give you the power.
Okay.
You got it.
Let's see. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. So like I said, welcome to Social Media 101. First, I'm just going to start with a little overview of different social media sites with the use of a donut. I ate probably 7 donuts while I was making this presentation, so I had to go with the donut. So I'm just going to start with Twitter, and these are just about how each different social media site is used. So Twitter, here's a live update of me eating my hashtag donut. LinkedIn, my skills include donut eating. TikTok, here's a viral video of me dancing with my donut. Instagram, here's a cute photo of my donut. And Facebook, my friends and I like donuts. So I just wanted to share with you that very simplified way to explain the differences between the main social media sites out there. And feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation, as well as time at the end. So when posting on social media, there are 3 things that you should keep in mind: your audience, your goals, and your communication. So audiences will vary depending on which platform you're on. And the biggest mistake that someone can make is to try and participate on every platform. Despite wanting to reach potentially newer and younger audiences, it's not always feasible, such as, what is it, Gen Z? I don't know anyone after any of the generations after my generation. They're all on TikTok. They aren't really on Facebook or Instagram. And a lot of businesses want to try and reach everyone, but you really need to think about who your audience is. Is your audience a 14-year-old girl? Most likely not. Your audience is probably her mom. And so you're most likely currently on the platforms that you need to be to reach your audience. And people keep saying Facebook is dead, and I don't know why they're saying that, because it's not true. Facebook has been and continues to be the most popular social network out there, with YouTube being second, and TikTok is still down there. Now, these numbers are from July 2021, but if any of you work with global data, it's very hard to get accurate numbers from previous years in a quickly manner. And then this is just a quick breakdown of Instagram versus Facebook. So as you can see, Facebook still has a lot of younger generations on it as well, from ages 14 to 34. And so if you're feeling the need to switch to Instagram or another platform to reach different audiences, let that worry be pushed aside, because you're probably reaching the audiences you exactly need to be reaching on Facebook at the moment. Does anyone have any questions about audiences and platforms before I continue?
No, but that's great information. I love that you've shared that. It's like confirming that where we're at is where we need to be.
Yes, and I've heard it from people all over through the marketing world about, Facebook is dead, move on to other platforms, but that is absolutely not the case, as you can see from the data that I just shared with you. So next, I'm going to be sharing with you about what to post. Now, I like to have this rule of thirds. So each one of these, the advertising, the micro and sharing, and the customer service, you should theoretically be doing each of them a third of the time. So advertising is making your Pampered Chef sales. Micro content is sharing fun content that isn't asking for a purchase or any sort of call to action on it. So it could be sharing a recipe, or even just sharing a photo about yourself or some interests you have. And then sharing can be in relation to sharing other pages' content. So maybe you work with a nonprofit and you'd like to share a post of theirs. Or even you just found like a funny cooking meme from one page, sharing that. You just want to show that you're sort of a team player and you're not necessarily making everything about yourself and just trying to push sales. And I'll kind of talk more about the sales part later. And then customer service. So that is responding to any questions that people might be posting either on your posts or sending you through messages. In this route, I would suggest responding to any comments that you get as well. They don't necessarily have to be questions. So like I mentioned just a second ago about pushing sales, one of the biggest mistakes brands can make is pushing sales too much. It's actually a reason why people unfollow accounts. And this is very important for you, for Pampered Chef, because your whole business is selling products. So that's kind of where the micro content and the sharing other content is very important. So this graphic is a little blurry. But here's just some other reasons why people might unfollow an account on social media. The biggest one is the poor quality of product or support. That one with Pampered Chef, I'm not as too concerned about, given that it is a big brand and you get a lot of quality graphics and images from Pampered Chef to share with you. The next biggest one is irrelevant content. So people are following you for cooking and baking. While you should be sharing aspects of your life, if for some reason you start posting about just a random subject like motorcycles, people aren't going to see why that's relevant to your brand, and they might get a little annoyed and unfollow you. And then as you can see down here, 24% of people say that they unfollow brands because they post too much. And later in the presentation, I will go over about how much you should be posting. I'm just going to give an example. There's a nonprofit I follow because I work with them that posts about 20 times a day, every single day. And that's just a little frustrating. You don't want to always be seeing that content. And if someone is always pushing a sale on you, you're probably going to get a little frustrated. Like, Mom, when I ask you for money 20 times a day, Would you get annoyed that I'm asking you for money 20 times a day?
Very much so.
Speaking of, Mom,
Would you unfollow her?
you can't unfollow me. I'm your daughter.
She'll find you.
Okay, and then I wanted to talk about post type. So this is a graph that shows the average engagement by post type. So as you can see, videos actually perform the best out of every other type of content. This is why TikTok is very popular, because it is all videos. Instagram has introduced Reels. And the second most performing type is images. And then the least is links. This is because Facebook knows that you are trying to take someone away from their website onto a different site. So their algorithm makes them automatically perform less. So my suggestion is, if you are sharing a link, to share an image and then post a link in the caption for that. Also, I couldn't find the data for this again while I was looking, but people are viewing stories, at least on Instagram, more than they are actually viewing the regular posts that are made on your timeline. So are any of you on Instagram?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
So this could be for a variety of reasons. People like seeing the instant updates. You can post more on your stories than you can on your timeline. It's easy to just swipe through and be interactive. So if you're not currently using stories on your Instagram, I highly encourage that you put that into your strategy. Stories are also available on Facebook as well. I just don't think they're as popular as they are on Instagram. And Mom, I'm remembering to talk about this. I know a lot of you use schedulers for your social media posts. Facebook and Instagram do have their own because it is their platform. And you're able to post to them directly through Meta, which is their new brand name, for free. And this includes being able to schedule stories ahead of time as well. So if you're paying for another service, I would suggest at least looking at Facebook's option, just for the fact that when it's free, you're able to get all of the data through it as well, and you're able to schedule stories too.
Plus, didn't you say that they're most likely to show that post more than they would from an outside scheduler?
Yes, there are rumors going around that Facebook also knows when you post from another scheduler, and that they will make those perform worse than if you use their scheduling platform. If anyone is on, oh, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, and that's really interesting, because for those of us who either do 5 or more parties a week, to be able to schedule, it's worth the money in terms of time savings to be able to use a post scheduler, but it is disheartening to know that we could be paying a penalty, for that, in terms of visibility.
And if you're posting in a group, that probably doesn't make that much of a difference, because people do get notified if a post has been made in a group that they are in. Now, people can turn that off, but if it is for, a party, they might, or most likely would keep those notifications turned on, because it's for a short period of time.
Okay.
You have to go and tell it to see all of your notifications. And I've noticed even when I do that, I'm not seeing every notification in my parties anymore.
Yeah, you have to go in and change the settings in there somehow.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it specifically to know what the issue is there.
So everybody needs to make sure they're getting the notifications for Joe Pack.
I do.
But if anyone also utilizes LinkedIn, they just came out with being able to schedule posts on that platform.
Oh,
Do you know if their scheduled posts are like you have to set up a post each time, or you don't know that much about like the Meta or even this one?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase the question?
I'm sorry. So the schedulers we use, right? Like I could go in on a Sunday night and I can schedule a whole week's worth of posts throughout the day. Is theirs the same?
Yes.
Thank you.
I believe you can do maybe 2 months in advance.
Okay.
I have to screenshot this. This is great.
I can share this with everyone as well. I can
Please.
download it as a PDF and I can email it to my mom and then she can share it.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's great.
All right, so this is a general graph about best times to post. I don't expect anyone to ever have this memorized,
Hmm.
but a good rule of thumb is work breaks. So 9 a.m. when you're just getting to work, you don't want to start yet, you need to ease yourself into the day, you log on to Facebook. Noon, lunchtime. 3 p.m. your afternoon break. And then around 6 and 7 p.m. when you're at home, you've had dinner, you're kind of starting to wind down for the night. But I also suggest that you use your own data. So in Facebook and in Instagram, I'm not sure about if CinchShare or whatever scheduling platform you use does this, but you can do these in the actual platforms, is to look at your specific data of when your followers are online. Now, this can come in handy because depending on what your content is, the times might be different. Given that this is a pampered chef, cooking and sales, the general rule of thumb should work for you. But say, for example, you ran a video game page, it's very likely that your times would shift and people might be viewing it more later at night because that's when a lot of those hardcore video gamers are up at late hours. On Instagram, you would click these 3 bars up top. You would go to insights, and then total followers, and you scroll all the way down and it shows you when your followers are active on Instagram.
That's cool.
how do you get to that on Facebook?
Oh, that one's much more complicated.
Of course it is.
Let's see. Can you all still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is what your page should look like. If it has switched over to the new page, it's possible that you're still on the old one, but all of them are switching over to this new one. So you click Insights over here. Actually, I don't. Okay, well, I can't do it on this one because I don't use this page very much. Let me actually go over here. So this is the scheduler that everyone can use for free. It shows up like a calendar, and then you can create any sort of content up here. So post, story, reel on both your Facebook and your Instagram page. And I can share this link with everyone too, if you'd all like to check it out.
So you can post to Instagram from there also.
That is correct, yes. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know where this is on Facebook because I didn't look it up before I made this presentation.
And it's likely it probably would have changed.
It's very possible. Here's though how to view your audience. So your demographics, your age and gender, for both Facebook and Instagram, and also your locations, which is important as well. It's very possible that Facebook got rid of the times because they're constantly changing things. It used to be somewhere different and now it's not there. So I think they got rid of it, unfortunately. But that's how you find it on Instagram.
Okay.
Okay, now how often to post? Like I mentioned earlier, people can get a little frustrated if you're posting too much. So this is a good rule of thumb. Facebook between 3 to 7 times a week. So that is up to once per day. And Instagram is about the same, no more than 1 per day. And if you're looking to post more, that's where the stories can come in hand. Because that content is there for kind of some quick bites. It's up there for 24 hours only. And you can post, a good rule of thumb would be up to 10 stories per day. So if you're ever thinking back on this presentation and not remembering what I'm saying, just remember no more than 1 per day.
Are you talking about posting on a business page?
Yes.
Okay, because yeah, okay.
Now I'm going to talk a little more about Instagram because I believe all of you are on Facebook, but you're not as familiar with how Instagram works.
That would be factual.
Yes.
How to post a story. Let me bring up my phone again. So at the bottom of your phone screen, I'm trying to make it so it doesn't get so bright. There's this plus button at the bottom. You just click on that. And down here, it says post and story. You click on story. And then your screen is blank. Here's the camera open. You just click on this image in the corner down here, which shows all of your pictures, and you can select a picture to upload to your story. I highly suggest just taking some time to play around with it, because then that will give you the hands-on knowledge to really understand how the stories work. You can also add links on there and text, so you can really make your stories engaging. You can even do polls. I know my brother is very popular with his Instagram polls. He's always asking people very random questions. And like I mentioned in the scheduler earlier, through Facebook, you can schedule stories and even add the text on them through Facebook scheduler as well.
Where do you go for a poll?
So let me just make a fake story really quick. Up here, this little smiley face one, click on that and it brings up all of these different options you can do. So you can mention someone. And
Where's
then
the
there's
smiley
this,
face?
oh, at the top of the screen.
Okay.
And there's that square smiley face.
Okay.
And then underneath that, there's this poll option right here.
Are we supposed to be seeing something on the screen?
No, she's
Oh.
showing you her phone.
Oh, I'm okay.
No.
I better go look. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep, so you click poll and then it brings up the option to add a poll with, and you can type in specific prompts as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay. now we can learn hashtags. I know this is a question specifically that my mother did not understand, so I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions about hashtags. Sorry to call you out, Mom.
That's quite all right.
So hashtags improve the user experience and help brands widen their reach. So they can get you up to 21% more engagement on your posts than if you weren't using them, because that allows people that aren't following you to see your content. The best hashtags to use are those related to your industry, your product, and your target audience. So some hashtags can be very broad, such as hashtag cooking. Now let me look that one up. Hashtag cooking. If I could type cooking, right?
Now, when you type in a hashtag, sometimes it's got like the little pop-up for you to click on. Are you supposed to click on that for it to like connect to that hashtag, or can you just finish typing in your hashtag and move on?
You can finish typing it in and move on.
Okay.
So hashtag cooking has 60 million posts. And so that means that your content is likely going to be drowning in all of the other content using that hashtag. So while it seems like you'd want to use one that has that many posts, you actually don't, because it's just going to get pushed down with every other post that's using that. So you'd like to use posts that have still a good following, but not too many. So for example, hashtag cooking tips has 525,000 posts. That's still quite a lot, but it's a lot smaller than 60 million. So I would suggest researching some hashtags before you put them on your posts. And you can play with some more generic ones like hashtag cooking, and you can also use some more specific ones that relate to the content of your post as well. But if a hashtag only has about 100 posts, I also wouldn't suggest using those, because that means people just aren't using them and they're not going to look for it. So you really need to find that nice in the middle spot.
Can you show us how to see how many for each hashtag?
Yep. So I typed in hashtag cooking, and it brings up all of the hashtags that have it, and it says right underneath it how many posts have that.
And where did you look that up at?
I went to the search bar at the bottom.
Okay.
You can also follow hashtags. This goes into the rule of thirds I mentioned earlier with engaging with other accounts, is go ahead and follow some hashtags that are fairly relevant to you, and you'll be able to see them pop up on your timeline when someone uses that hashtag, and you can very easily just like it. Who knows, it might turn into a follower of your own and maybe even a sale in the future. And a good rule of thumb for hashtags is no more than a dozen per post. There are a few different ways you can use them on Instagram. Their hashtags are a thing on Facebook. They're just not really as used. So I'm really focusing their use on Instagram. There are 3 different ways that people will use hashtags. They'll either integrate them into the sentence. So for example, if we take a good rule of thumb is no more than a dozen, someone might potentially say a good rule of hashtag thumb is no more than a dozen. So integrating them into the sentence. Sometimes they'll just put all of them one after another at the bottom of their post. And sometimes people will also comment them on their post. I don't think one way is better than the other. It's just all up to your preference. Now some tips for best practices with social media. This is my biggest pet peeve. by far. Do not post a QR code on social media. Please, if there's one thing you take away from this presentation, do not
Right.
post a QR code on social media. They are perfectly acceptable on flyers and even at restaurants to pull up their menu. But if there's a QR code on social media, you're likely scrolling on your phone and you're not able to scan the QR code because you're already using your phone. But two, you can very easily, with literally just a click, transfer over from one website to the other by sharing the URL. So there's really no need for a QR code. So please don't do it. Next rule of thumb is Linktree on Instagram. So links do not work on Instagram posts.
Oh.
If you put it in your caption, it is unclickable. And that can be a little frustrating when you're sharing a really long link because no one wants to try and remember that and then type it all in. And if you have multiple links, you can only share one on your Instagram profile. Let me pull it up. You can only share one link on your profile, which shows right here. And this link tree is kind of a hack for that. So if you click on it, it will then bring up multiple other links that you can then click to go over to a website. There's also another one that I'm just gonna bring up really quick. It's from Playbill because I am a musical theater gal, where their links also showcase the image that was utilized for the link. So you might not remember what the link was for, but you can remember the image. And that could be useful when selling products. People might not remember that it's called a food slicer, but they'll remember what the image looks like. So I believe you can use images on Linktree instead of these icons as well. So that's just an option for you to share multiple links on Instagram.
How do you put Linktree on Instagram, or is it already there?
So you will have to create your own Linktree account. There is a free version. The paid will give you analytics and a few other things, but honestly, the paid version does just fine. And then you'll just go ahead and when you edit your Instagram profile, just plop the link right in there.
Oh, okay.
So I have my bio link in my bio and my Instagram is to a link tree. And one of the links on my link tree is called As Seen on Instagram. If you click on that, it takes you into all the recipes and tools I've shared on Instagram.
Nice.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that's cool. That was something else I was going to ask too. When people say link in my bio, like, what does that mean? But now I get it.
Exactly what that means. That's exactly what that's for, because links don't work. But links do work in Instagram stories. So another benefit of the stories. So just some general do's and don'ts for social media. So talk to your audience, not at it. You want to make your social media engaging. People are more likely to want to engage, interact, and purchase something from a friend than they are from a big corporation. Always respond to questions that you get. And it is okay to delete derogatory comments. I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, but sometimes you'll just get a comment on your post that is not constructive in any way. It's okay to delete those. Otherwise, I would suggest responding to everything. Keep your posts short. People have very short attention spans these days. Don't like your own posts. That's just not seen as very tactful. Don't post back to back. So that kind of goes into the posting once a day type of thing, unless it is for a story. Always aim to be positive. Even if something negative happens, post about it in a positive way. So share other brands and people's content. Don't make it all about you. Always use quality photographs and videos. And again, since Pampered Chef makes a lot of the graphics and photography for you, I'm not as concerned about that. And be human. Share aspects of your life. All of you are trying to sell the same product. And so you need to really make your pages unique. So what makes your page different from someone else's? So really find your shtick. Does anyone have any questions?
I wanted to ask, going back to the Facebook business page, because I've got mine's the whole new page experience, blah, blah, blah. So if I wanted to create a story on there, I could.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna need to play with that then. Okay.
Yep. So I can pull up my Facebook app really quick. So it's just like your personal page up top with the create a story. You can do the same exact thing for your business.
Wow, I've never paid attention to that. Okay, cool, thanks.
Yep.
What about graphics? Because don't most people, if they're looking at a Pampered Chef party, aren't most of them on their phone versus a computer? What are some general rules about graphics? How busy should they be?
Okay, good question. So general rule of thumb for graphics is to keep them fairly simple for a few reasons. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, people have short attention spans, so you kind of want to get right to the point. You also don't want to overwhelm or confuse anyone. So you should really only have one call to action on a post. So feature one product that you're trying to sell, not 20. It's the same like with events that I try to do. If I'm asking someone to sign up for an event, I then don't also ask them to take a survey on that same post and to buy another ticket. I make those all separate posts because you don't want to overwhelm people at once by confusing them with too many options. So keep things simple.
Okay, so kind of just to extrapolate that a little bit, are we talking about just posts to like our business page? I mean, I'm assuming we're talking mostly about business page, which actually I don't use that much. I use my Facebook wall more than I use my Facebook. But when we talk about parties, like for instance, I might do a recipe and I'll talk about a bunch of the products in that recipe that I use in my party. But that's a lot of information in one post. Should I stay away from that in the party atmosphere?
I think in the party atmosphere, that's okay. I would probably stick with some of the main ones. I wouldn't post every single product that you use. Okay. That could be a good way for people to engage with you. If they ask questions like, oh, what was this tool that was used? You can then answer it saying which it was. But again, you don't want to overwhelm people with too many options. Okay. Like, I know once in some of the Pampered Chef catalogs, at the back, it really just lists like 50 products in a row.
Oh no.
Like that's something that I would not share on social media. It's not as visually appealing and it's just too much information.
Yeah, that's just a glossary.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
Siri thinks I'm talking to her.
She gets kind of feisty sometimes.
She gets confused sometimes.
I actually have two questions if I could go. LinkedIn. Now, I know a lot of my friends use LinkedIn more, and I shy away from that because I feel like it's more for networking for jobs and stuff. I don't think about it as a place for me to talk about my products and to sell things. Am I, am I underutilizing that?
You are completely right in that aspect. LinkedIn is not a platform that you should be trying to sell your products on, but you can still be utilizing it in other ways, by growing your network and by sharing, your successes and accomplishments that you've been doing.
Okay. And then I'm sorry, I might be the only one on here that I just do not understand stories. I just don't understand it.
No, I don't either.
I don't either, Karen.
So there you go.
Okay, where to start with that?
Sarah, you got your work cut out for you now.
I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I'm just gonna assume that you know absolutely nothing.
you're fine.
And go from there. So, stories. So this is your timeline, right?
Okay, I gotta change my screen somehow. Did
Here,
you know,
why don't I stop
did you-
sharing?
did
so I
you
can
know
be
that you
bigger?
can plug in your phone and share your phone in the Zoom?
Well, I don't have a cord to do that.
Okay,
so-
all right, all right.
All right, so here I'm bigger so you can see me now. So this is your timeline.
Yep.
Up here are the stories. So I think part of why stories are so popular is because the timeline, because of the